September 1985. The original Super Mario released to critical acclaim, becoming one of the world's first platformers. December 1987. Mega Man is released, mixing platforming and shooting elements in this futuristic world. April 1992. Kirby's Dream Land is released as a more forgiving platformer for beginners and young children. November 1992. Sega's answer to the Red Plumber that had taken the world by storm, the Blue Blur, makes his debut. November 1994. Nintendo strikes again, this time with animals. Donkey Kong Country releases. August 2008. Braid. I never played this one. November 2010. Super Meat Boy releases, stirring controversy with its frustrating gameplay and graphic imagery. December 2013. Ubisoft jumps into the platformer scene with the revival of Rayman in Rayman Origins. March 2017. Shovel Knight releases, taking the indie gaming space by storm. April 2017. Hollow Knight makes his platforming and Dark Souls-like combat. But now, it's 2025, 40 years since the release of Super Mario. Society has seen its fair share of ups and downs, from pandemics to, I don't know what good things have happened since then. Pokemon Go was pretty cool for a good time, and many games have been released since then, some that push the boundary of gaming and storytelling as a whole. But alongside the growth of the video game market, we've also seen a historic rise in anxiety, depression, and many similar traits alongside the pandemic and rise in social media and phone usage. So why should you care about a small indie game that came out 7 years ago, when obviously there's much bigger things to worry about? Well, first of all, this is one of the best platforms out there, at least on the 2D side. With quick responsive movements built for precision and speed, Celeste platforming is unforgiving but not unfair. You'd be hard-pressed to find a game that would put your skill to the test more than this one, while still being fair. There's no invisible death traps, hidden jump scares, or anything of the sort. Truly a mastercraft in game and level design that I think any fan of the genre should play. But besides that, there's beautiful pixel art and an even better score. And of course, it's gameplay and story. But to fully understand the story of Celeste and what it means, I think it's important to dive into a bit of a history lesson. So without further ado, this is why you need to play Celeste. August 2015. Almost a decade ago at this point. Jeez, that's terrifying to say, but anyways, Maddie Thorson and Noel Berry participated in a game jam, which is a competition that challenges developers to make a game in a certain time frame, most of which have a theme. This game jam being no different. The theme of this game jam being Pico 8. Okay, stick with me here. Pico 8 is a fantasy game console like the NES and Sega's SG-1000. These consoles are commonly referred to as the 8-bit genre, and also the consoles that marked the end of the American video game crash. Anyway, these consoles were limited to 8-bit processors, which, to keep it simple, limited how much could be processed at once, leading to lower fidelity graphics and less stuff that could happen at a time. Basically, Pico 8 was a limitation set on developers that would force them to simplify their projects. This led to the creation of Okay, maybe not what you were expecting, I'd say, but nonetheless, the main concept was there. Difficult platforming elements and climbing a mountain. This would lead to further development after the game jam with fewer restrictions and much more time for development, where we can now jump to January 2018. This game would come to be known as Celeste. So, what is Celeste? Other than an award-winning game and critically acclaimed masterpiece, Celeste is a mountain, and you play as Madeline. I know it's confusing, but stick with me here. Madeline is a 20-something-year-old newbie mountain climber, and the game centers off the real-life mountain of Celeste in Vancouver, Canada, and its challenges as our protagonist Madeline aims to reach the peak. But unlike real life, you'll find many death chasms, haunted hotels, caves, and many, and I mean many, spikes. Taking inspiration from the popular genre of rage-inducing games at the time, like your Bennett Foddies, Souls-likes, and Mario Kart, when I get sent to fucking 18th place because of a goddamn banana. And most importantly, Super Meat Boy. The journey won't be easy as you traverse the 7 different areas of the mountain that'll have you traversing through abandoned hotels, caves, and much more. As mentioned before, Celeste is a 2D platform with the likes of your Super Mario Bros. And Sonic. But what sets this game apart from those games is its difficulty. Whereas Mario games tend to lean towards the simpler mechanics and easier platforming, Celeste is on the complete opposite of that scale, testing players with hard, precise, and sometimes frustrating and painful platforming with quick respawns that allow you to jump back into action almost as quickly as you died. But to help you traverse these trials is the game's main mechanic, dashing. A commonly known fact about trans people is they can double jump, and Madeline is no different. We'll touch on that later, don't worry. Madeline can dash in any of the 8 directions, and this adds a whole new depth to what is usually the simple platform mechanics of running and jumping. Celeste builds upon these mechanics throughout the story and puts your skill to the test with each new level. Now, this may not be everyone's cup of tea, I get it. Not everyone's a masochist and enjoys getting the shit beat out of them every 2 seconds.
I'm not wasting any time, Joe. Turning it over.
Yo, run it over.
What the fuck? What is this?
And if the game exists simply as a way of getting a reaction of the player, then why should you play it? Well, what makes the game fun is obviously subjective, but Celeste is also a leader in accessibility. Accessibility has always been a hot topic in games for a while, especially in the Souls-like genre that has defined itself on its difficulty, with the fanbase split on whether difficulty and accessibility options should be standard in the games to allow younger children and those with disabilities to enjoy the game as well. But in 2018, many games lacked features like this, until Celeste, designed to be played by anyone and everyone. The game came with options to slow down the gameplay, give extra jumps, reduce screen shake, or do just about anything to tune the gameplay to your liking. But the game isn't difficult for just the sake of difficulty. The game's difficulty ties directly into the story. Games are an interesting medium for storytelling, as they allow the player to be an active participant in the story, and even in some games change the outcome of the story through their actions, which is something that is completely missing in other forms of media like books, TVs, and movies. But for the longest time, stories and the platformer genre never meshed that well, with stories being kept simple to have an emphasis on gameplay. Like in Mario, like saving Princess Peach, or in Sonic, rescuing animals, and in recent memories, saving Shield Knight in Shovel Knight. All in a simple but effective effort to move the player from left to right. But with Celeste, the story would play an active role in the game, not as a simple motivator to move the player to the end of the level, but as something that would unravel throughout the game, evolving through each level and each addition to the gameplay, with each triumph and challenge beaten also being a triumph for you, the player. From the very beginning, we learn that Madeline struggles with her mental health, and as a result, she struggles to accept this side of her. Celeste is more than climbing a mountain. Celeste teaches us that mental health is important and that every step you take towards bettering yourself, no matter how small, matters. Well, with all that said and done, it has been an honor to make a video about my favorite game's brilliantly designed game mechanics and its deeper messages about anxiety, stress, and acceptance no matter what form it might take. So, what are you waiting for? Celeste retails for around $20 on Steam, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox systems, and regularly goes on sale for around $5 on Steam, but if you ask me, it's well worth the price, especially with the free DLC and loads of collectibles sprinkled throughout the game. I mean, I'm kind of biased since it is my favorite game, and I've already bought it 3 times, one on my Switch, one for my PC, and one for my friend. But with that, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace!